可以，那你直接，
巴士到后面啦，OK。
那你直接去就是这样。
因为我比较慢，你们这样都比我早到。
对啊，谢谢。
OK，no problem，大丈夫です。
Thank you。
John Slam 那个门大大力哦。啊，这个门有问题的啊。啊？什么东西？就放住啊！等下我下车的时候拿 no issue 啊，并在那边。拜拜。走后面啊。
They discover a number of rock art carvings, which after closer examination date back an estimated 5,200 years, making them the oldest monumental Egyptian hieroglyphs ever discovered. Using combination
symbols, including representations of humans and animals, hieroglyphics is regarded as a highly sophisticated writing system, where every symbol and combination of symbols has a specific meaning.
When we look at the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt, they seem to have come from nowhere. No one knows where they came from. No one knows who they really were designed for their purpose. They just appeared out of nowhere. So where did these come from? Were they sort of just divinely inspired? Was there some other reason? Or was there some gods that emerged and arrived and presented them with this information?
The term hieroglyphics literally means holy writing, and ancient Egyptian texts say it was a gift given to them from the god Thoth.
There are legends from all over the world that sky gods have come down to Earth and given information of science and learning and also communication and of language to people. And early language and alphabets are these symbols.
We're here in Luxor Temple, and the hieroglyphs here are so interesting. Most people would think that ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs is more like emojis and symbols where the sun and a cow would meet the sky, and this picture of the sky. It's not pictures next to each other. It's a proper language. It's a language that has such precision that people from all over the world can translate it with the same exact meaning. All this language was from the God of knowledge. That's what ancient Egyptian believed. The God Thoth gave them the language with all it has. And the kings then used it to also communicate with their gods. Ancient Egyptian kings knew for a fact that their gods understood hieroglyphs.
As described in the pyramid texts, ancient Egyptian religious texts that date back more than 4,000 years, a meteoric iron object called the Benben stone was reported as having descended from the heavens like a firebird.
Even Egyptologists agree that this type of a shape descended from the sky and made a controlled landing. The Benben stone opened and people walked out, the first creator gods. Now, when I hear a story like this, I wonder if this thing may have been some type of a craft, because it is very reminiscent of the top module of an Apollo rocket.
The Benben came with hieroglyphic inscriptions on it, and it was the first form of hieroglyphic language, the gift from the gods. This was the language of the gods.
Did an otherworldly spacecraft bring the language of hieroglyphics to the people of ancient Egypt thousands of years ago? And if so, could there be a connection between hieroglyphs and the various individual figures of animals, shapes, and symbols found in the world's petroglyphs and geoglyphs?
It would seem that these petroglyphs and geoglyphs are ultimately part of this universal language that's the forerunner of hieroglyphic and pictographic languages too, like the Chinese, for example. When we're really able to understand these geoglyphs and petroglyphs, we may find that there is a message for us that we have been missing all this time. One day, hopefully, we will find that knowledge and know that
ancient alien language? Could their earliest examples exist carved into rocks and etched in desert sands? Could they be trying to tell us that Earth's history is very different than the one we've been taught? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that instead of viewing them as symbols of mankind's ancient past, we should start to look at them as part of mankind's future. Kanda, the Republic of Macedonia. There, isolated on a hill in the middle of a vast steppe, sits a giant geoglyph depicting a symbol known as the cosmic egg. According to ancient mythology, it is the great egg of the universe, from which a powerful deity is often hatched or born.
The concept of the cosmic egg is universal. But what's so interesting is that a multinational team who have been investigating this site have come to the conclusion that it's orientated towards the constellation of Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia represents the Queen of Heaven.
In addition to the alignment of the egg with the Cassiopeia constellation, many scholars believe that the symbol contained in the egg represents that of the cosmic god Set.
He represents the all-seeing God. Macedonian myth says that the god Se was the child of the great cosmic mother and the supreme god father.
While there are various theories as to who made the cosmic egg geoglyph and why, ancient astronaut theorists agree on one point: that this geoglyph, like the thousands of others found all across the world, was intended to be more than simply a work of art or indicate a place of worship. It was intended to communicate something of great, possibly intergalactic importance.
It would seem that extraterrestrials arrived on Earth and then taught humans the meanings of these symbols. And then humans then used these symbols to try and contact the extraterrestrials themselves, either as giant geoglyphs on the ground, to even just petroglyphs on the rocks.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the notion that petroglyphs and geoglyphs could represent a form of communication taught to humans by alien visitors is supported by our own relatively modern science of semiotics. It is the study of signs and symbols mankind will need to use when trying to communicate not only with future generations, but with extraterrestrials.
Pictographs are really pretty simplistic pictures. They are, in fact, another way of communicating entirely, not only on Earth, but in spacecraft sent to deep space to communicate, perhaps with beings we have no idea about how they speak, write, or make signification.
In 1991, the United States Department of Energy assigned 2 teams of experts to the task of devising a marking system for the Waste Isolation Pilot Plant, or WIPP. A nuclear waste facility located in the salt beds of the Delaware Basin, 26 miles east of Carlsbad, New Mexico. The project attempted to find ways of communicating the hazard of the plant to humans living in the distant future. Humans who may have developed entirely new languages or other forms of communication. One prominent member of the project was space artist and science journalist John Romberg. Romberg had previously worked on NASA's 1977 Voyager mission, helping to determine what sounds and images should be included on a pair of golden discs being sent into deep space.
They put together a panel of people from a wide variety of backgrounds, including me as an artist and as somebody who had experience trying to communicate with extraterrestrials. The idea being was, if we come up with a way of communicating with extraterrestrials and communicating with humans 10,000 years or half a million years ago should be a piece of cake.
Through their research, the teams determined that simple images are the most universally recognized. But some can only be understood when paired with other images.
In the meantime, there were certain elements of humility appeared so widely that you could assume everybody would understand them. And they were the comic strip. The idea of a series of images where first this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. You find that all from ancient Egypt to the Plains tribes to the body tapestry. The idea of telling stories in pictures seems to be something that everybody knows. So we used the linear story of a stick figure to try to explain the meaning of symbols like the poison symbol or the nuclear radiation trefoil or the do not sign. None of these are universal, but they're easily explained with a little comic strip.
The whole of written human history is only 5,000 years old. It's only by the most incredible efforts that we're able to read the earliest human languages. So trying to guess how people are going to understand things 10,000 years from now requires incredibly imaginative thinking.
Symbols are universal, and thus, when we're looking at hieroglyphs or petroglyphs on rock or geoglyphs, we have to also recognise that there are universal symbols. We may look at them today and not be aware of exactly what they mean. Just possibly, some of them could have been influenced by external sources, non-terrestrial intelligences, perhaps even extraterrestrials.
These messages potentially contain tremendous knowledge for humanity. It could be something very simple like point yourselves at this particular star system or meet us at this particular time and place. Just imagine if we don't get that message and don't make that meeting or don't look to that particular star system. Humanity could be in the balance.
Could it be that the petroglyphs and geoglyphs found all over the world are not only examples of how early humans communicated with each other, but their attempt to replicate a more sophisticated form of extraterrestrial language? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and believe the evidence can be found by investigating UFO encounters in which witnesses reported seeing hieroglyphic writing on alien spacecraft. Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk County, England, December 26, 1980. Binoculars leased to the United States Air Force by the RAF. Strange lights are reported on the horizon. 2 U.S. servicemen are dispatched to the site to investigate what they believe could be a possible downed aircraft.
Some US servicemen at a base called Woodlawn saw strange lights over the forest and went to investigate. And in a clearing came across this landed craft. One of them saw these strange sequence of symbols upon the side of it. And the object then rose up and disappeared out of sight. What were these hieroglyphs? Were we meant to see them? Were we meant to record them? There are some very famous cases of hieroglyphs being seen on the side of what appeared to be flying saucers or UFOs. Another UFO incident where hieroglyphs were seen on the side of a strange craft took place at Kecksburg in Pennsylvania.
On December 9th, 1965, a fireball was seen streaking through the skies of Michigan and Ontario and then crashing in Pennsylvania. And this became known as the Kecksburg UFO. But what they said that they found on this bell-shaped object were strange hieroglyphic writing all along the base the pictographs and petroglyphs and geoglyphs that we find all over the world.
Could the details of these and other UFO reports provide proof that the geoglyphs and petroglyphs found all across the world were actually inspired by alien encounters in the distant past?
I believe that one day we will break the entire code of the ancient language locked away in the petroglyphs, geoglyphs, and even megaglyphs of the world. And in it, we may find information that is vital to mankind.
When we're really able to understand these geoglyphs and petroglyphs, we may find that there is a message for us that we have been missing all this time. One day, hopefully, we will find that knowledge and know that message.
It may be that there's a sort of metaphysical timeline or a timeline for the decoding of the petroglyphs and geoglyphs. Maybe now is the time for us to fully understand what those messages are.
Perhaps the keys to breaking the alien code are all around us and have been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. All we need to do to unlock their mystery is to see them from the same perspective as our extraterrestrial ancestors. We must look at them.
真的有时候哦，接逼的回去，你们接逼的方法驾车啦，真的。为什么又变成这样了？哪个鸡掰的 good idea 哦？
Oh, wow. It is America's most infamous military installation.
For decades, witnesses in that area are seeing unusual craft hovering over the base.
The place where top secret experiments involving alien technology are rumored to be taking place.
There's extraterrestrial technology at Area 51.
But is Area 51 still viable now that the top secret is out?
This underground expansion is stretched all the way through Nevada into Utah.
Or do other, even more covert places exist where mankind's extraterrestrial future is being prepared?
Where are areas 52, 53, and 54?
Langley, Virginia, August 15th, 2013. After decades of secrecy, denials, and cover-ups, the CIA declassifies documents which acknowledge the existence of a top-secret military research facility known as Area 51.
This was an historic announcement. Finally, these years of rumors that the UFO community and the conspiracy theory community had been claiming to be true had been validated.
The federal government was forced to acknowledge the existence of the Area 51 base because of a Freedom of Information Act request. It took them over a decade to actually respond, but in the end, they eventually had to admit what everybody already knew, which was that Area 51 did exist.
Since 1955, this top-secret base, located in the remote desert of southern Nevada, has been considered the epicenter of the military's most classified projects, from the U-2 spy plane to the F-117 stealth fighter. But many believe that in the darkest corners of Area 51 lurks an even bigger secret, one that hides the ultimate evidence of extraterrestrial contact.
While the admission that Area 51 existed was important, it didn't go far enough for many people who were hoping that the government was going to confirm all the rumors about crashed UFOs and recovered alien technology were true. But the government said nothing about that.
They only gave us the exact minimal amount of information that was requested. They did not give us any more information, and they certainly appear to still be covering up what exactly goes on at Area 51. Over the years, there have been a number of claims by people who've been associated with Area 51, who've spoken to journalists or whistleblowers, in which they have stated quite explicitly that there's extraterrestrial technology at Area 51.
The theory was that they had hired propulsion experts, engineers, physicists, to reverse engineer alien propulsion technology, which was so far in advance of ours, and they were doing that at Area 51.
We also have rumors that there are alien spacecraft on the base that have actually been tested and flown out of Area 51.
Is it possible that scientists at Area 51 have been able to not merely study, but successfully reverse engineer an extraterrestrial craft?
For 30 years, people have gone to the perimeter with binoculars, telescopes, and they've seen bright objects moving in angular motions or zigzag motions and in ways that seem to be well beyond anything that we have ever seen. And propulsion technology that